Have you ever wondered? Have you ever wondered why some Europeans speak English so perfectly while other people, well, struggle a little bit? In Germany, Netherlands, Scandinavian countries, you cannot impress anybody if you can speak English. While in Ukraine, it's like, oh my god, wow. And how is it that a Dutch person sounds almost native, while in Spain, you still hear the book está on the table, so maybe they use different way how they learn it. Let's break it down. Yeah, education is the first big reason. In countries like Denmark, Netherlands, Sweden, kids start learning English super early, sometimes in the kindergarten. Meanwhile, in France, Italy, English classes start a bit later and they focus a lot on grammar. So yeah, you spend a lot of time, like years, learning the present perfect continuous, subjunctive, whatever, but still cannot order coffee in English. And this is how it was in Ukraine for me as well, for example. In the first, second grade, when I was 6, 7 years old, and I started learning English, I started learning it with a lot of differences between past perfect continuous, past perfect, present continuous, and other things that I couldn't even understand in my native language, you know. I myself, for example, started to understand the difference at the age of maybe 15, 16, and I was like, oh yeah, oh my god, it was so easy, but I couldn't realize it at the age of 6 or 7, obviously. And before, it was just stressing and demotivating me. Now, the game changer, TV and movies. In countries like Sweden and Netherlands, most movies and TV shows are not dubbed. So if you want to watch, for example, Friends or Game of Thrones, you hear everything in original English. But in Spain, Italy, France, and Ukraine, they dub everything. So you basically grow up thinking that Brad Pitt can actually speak Spanish or Ukrainian, French, whatever. Now, of course, it got easier because now we have Netflix. So Netflix, please call me. We should make a contract, please, because I'm promoting you almost like in a lot of videos. Okay. So where you can get easier the access to content in foreign languages. But before or earlier, you had to play Indiana Jones to find these weird websites where you could watch Friends in English, for example. So in the North, you grow up listening to native English every day. Next up, some languages are just closer to English than others. Dutch, Swedish, and Danish, super similar to English. Same word structures, same vibes. French, Spanish, Italian, Ukrainian, Russian, completely different. And finally, attitude matters. In the Netherlands and Scandinavia, people see English as a super important skill for jobs, travel, and even dating. Europe is small and everything is close, but you have probably the biggest variety of different languages concentrated in it. This is one of the wildest things about Europe. It's tiny compared to places like US or China, but it's packed with a lot of languages. Sometimes completely different, one's just a short drive away. Imagine this. In the US, you can drive for 10 hours and still be surrounded by English. But in Europe, drive for only 2 hours and suddenly you need the whole new language. For example, in Belgium, Dutch and French are spoken side by side. In Switzerland, you've got 4 official languages: German, French, Italian, and Romansh. In Spain, you might hear Catalan, Spanish, Galician, depending on where you are. So people have to know English instead of learning a lot of other languages. And even though they still learn them, English is a must. It's just a survival skill. And of course, because of sufficient salary and the Schengen zone, people can actually travel in Europe and practice the language. While in Ukraine, for example, teachers always try to motivate and to say that if you learn English, you can travel around the world and work in the international company. But it still feels surreal because of salary differences. So I think actually if you are not from Europe or Scandinavian countries and still manage to learn foreign languages and you don't have a lot of possibilities to travel, to visit languages camps, you are a hero to me because you learn the language not because of something, but despite of the fact that you have so many difficulties, you still manage not to lose motivation and be consistent. So I hope you still keep on pushing and I see you guys in the next videos.